It was a peaceful day, or so they thought. The patrol car stopped. 2 officers stepped out. Ahead, a group of men surrounded a wounded man. The red-haired thug had been slapped earlier for assaulting a mute woman. Now, he wanted revenge. He kicked the injured man, the former captain. An officer rushed to help, but the lackeys pinned him down. The bully smirked. "Kneel. Lick my shoes, or I'll break his arm and hand it to you." The captain hesitated. Then someone stepped in, our protagonist, calm, firm. "If anyone touches him," he warned, "I'll break your bones and use you for firewood." The crowd roared and charged. In a blur, he moved. Kick, elbow, knee, punch. 4 men down in seconds. Their leader, Shy, furious, raised his gun. "You're dead for attacking city guards." 3 shots. He caught the gun mid-fire. "Too slow," he said, and crushed it barehanded. Sure lunged with the dagger. The man caught his wrist, disarmed him, and lifted him by the neck. "You wanted him to kneel?" he growled. "Your turn." He slammed Shi into the ground, unconscious, frothing. The rest could only stare, unable to believe what they'd seen. Now our protagonist gained this terrifying power a few months back. No one would have imagined that the archaeological excavation of a mysterious ruin would trigger an ancient seal. And in turn, it became a catastrophe for all humanity. A strange blood cola crimson mist quickly spread across every city. Humans caught within the blood mist couldn't withstand the mutation, going mad before dying violently. Yet, most other living creatures transformed into terrifying creatures with bizarre abilities. They were described as aberrations. Wherever these aberrations went, they left cities in ruins. Fear spread like plague. Missiles were released. And it hit the city, dust and smoke-covered area. One guy looking like a zombie with an aberration-like claw hand looked for Xiaojue. Some wolf aberrations faced him, but he continued to look for her. He clawed at the wolf aberrations. After that, he looked tired and unstable. He stepped on the ruins, still searching for Xiaojue. He walked like a zombie. Until he saw a doll. He hurriedly approached it while thinking of Xiaojue. He was about to take the doll using his claw-like hand, but he stopped and changed it back to his regular hand before grabbing the doll. And then tears fell from his eyes. He desperately wanted to know where she was. 3 days ago. Reports came in about a crimson mist appearing in multiple areas. The public were advised not to panic and to stay indoors as much as possible. Meanwhile, there's this family on a car ride. The son and daughter were sleeping in the back seat. The military personnel banged on their car while ordering them to move the car immediately. The mother was in the passenger seat while the father drove. He expressed his disbelief in the politicians. The daughter expressed to her older brother that she's scared. Her brother assured her that it would be fine since they were all with her. While the father complained about involving the army and disguising the event as a natural disaster. The son noticed the huge commotion outside. He got curious about what the crimson mist was. Then it was followed by a loud explosion. It surprised them. Immediately he covered her sister and told her to get down. A car fell on top of their car. The son asked his parents if they're all right. The father admitted that his leg was stuck while the mother was coughing. She asked what happened. A loud sound had caught their attention. Fear washed over their faces. They saw people running away from an aberration. Immediately, the father told them to get out of the car. The son kicked the door open and climbed out. He tried to open her mother's door, but it was stuck. She told him to just take his sister and go. But he wanted to get them out. His sister trembled at the sight of the aberration approaching a man. That man screamed for help loudly. Seeing how near the aberration was, their mother urged him to go at once. His father reminded him that he's the big brother, so he had to be responsible for her. They left Xiaojue, his sister, in his care. Then an explosion blasted them away. The aberration had jumped towards their car. Shui screamed for their mom and dad. The aberration got agitated with the ruckus. It targeted them. Shui wanted to go to their parents, but her brother dragged her away. The whole area was in chaos. The flying aberration took the military aircraft down. They ran as fast as they could. On the way, they noticed how the animals and the people went insane. The big brother questioned what on earth was happening. Crimson mist covered the area while the wolf-like aberration went on a hunt. The siblings hid behind a shelf. The brother peeked and saw the wolf walking away. He was relieved that it was finally gone, but his sister suddenly felt strange. She cradled her head. He asked her what was wrong. She admitted that she doesn't feel well. The brother saw their faces in the mirror and there were lines forming on it. He suspected it was because they inhaled too much of the crimson mist. He took out some supplies on the shelf and dampened the cloth with water. Then he covered his sister's nose and mouth using that. But in that moment, he felt a pang of pain. He felt so hot, and something was forcing its way out of its body, and he couldn't stop it. Zhu asked him what was wrong, but he lied that he's fine. He tried to control his trembling hand. The roaming wolf-like aberration sensed them. He yelled, "Stop!" at his body, scaring her sister. Then the aberration spotted them. Immediately they ran and it chased after them. They left the supermarket and was blocked with a winged aberration. They were surrounded. He held his sister tightly while comforting her not to be scared. Then the winged aberration flapped its wings while roaring loudly. Several more aberrations approached them. There was even this red dragon-like monster above them. The brother thought that they're really going to die. Also, before we proceed, this guy will be our MC, so be sure to wait for his OP plot armor. The brother dragged her sister to go back inside. Because it was more dangerous outside, he grabbed a stick while saying that it was their only shot. He charged at the wolf aberration and broke the stick instead. Then the wolf aberration attempted to eat him. He crashed on the ground while trying to stop its mouth from closing. It stopped when suddenly it was hit by an arrow on the eye. Zhu helped him using the crossbow that she found. But then, the wolf aberration attacked her instead. Her brother yelled at her to run. She did. Her brother told her not to look back. Meanwhile, the brother coughed blood and was in excruciating pain. It happened during a really bad time. Shui tripped and fell while the wolf aberration was just behind her. The brother gripped the wall to help himself up, and suddenly a bright red light shot up to the sky. The debris fell on the wolf, and the brother pinned it down on the ground. Then he stabbed it using rebar steel. He stabbed it over and over while telling it to go to hell. Shui saw this and got worried for his brother. She immediately hugged him to make him stop. She had no clue what was wrong with him. She assured him that she's fine so he could stop. Concurrently, her brother remembers their parents telling them to run. They left Shui in his care. While his father assured him that he would take care of his mother, he was told to take care of Shu and survive. Then he heard Shu calling out to him. He regained his senses and saw her sister hugging him. He apologized for making her worry. She asked if he's fine now. He was to reply that he's fine, but he saw a winged aberration through the glass approaching Sui. He immediately grabbed her to evade the attack. The winged aberration turned its attention to them. He hit it with a rebar. To make it go away, his attack sent the bird flying away. Then he told Shui to hide while he dealt with it. Shui got worried that he'd go alone. The big bird aberration had its eyes on them, so he had to lead it away. But Shui didn't want him to go. She was scared that he'd lose control again. He assured her that it won't happen this time, and requested her to wait there and he'll be right back. She made him promise that he'll come back safe and sound. He promised her that. Then he stepped out. He had this theory that hunting aberrations and absorbing the red energy from them would make him stronger. So he expected the energy from the big bird to be greater. So as long as he took it down, he would have enough power to protect his family. He yelled at it to die. The big aberration watched him, but the wolves attacked instead. It was like he's not even worth its time. He hit the wolves with the rebar as he made its way to the aberration. His attacks were powerful, but the wolves worked together. After he hit one in front, a wolf from behind bit his arm. It made him furious and his hands transformed into claws. He hit those wolves with those claw-like hands. He was elated with the power that he's feeling. An aircraft flying above them caught the big aberration's attention. He got confused when it flew. This man regained his senses and wondered what happened to him. A missile was fired in his direction. And at that moment, Shui came out and asked if he's okay. He panicked as he yelled at her not to come out. Then the missile exploded. The aircraft saw some survivors, so it landed to check them out. They saw someone infected, so they left him. Instead, they took the girl. Our MC had hazy vision, but he saw his sister being boarded to the aircraft. The military hurried because the aberrations would be back soon. He extended his claw-like hand as the aircraft flew away. Then he lost consciousness. Shui was teary-eyed when she called out to his brother. She was burning while she asked why he didn't save her. He extended his claw-like hand to her, but she was gone, and that jerked him awake. He had the same dream again. It had been half a year, and he was still searching for her. He was just glad that he wasn't exposed when he was asleep. He walked out of the building with a machine gun in his hand. When Zue was taken by those people, he searched every local shelter. But there was no sign of her. To find her sister, he joined the Border Patrol, the lowest-ranking unit in the army, and became a low-ranking soldier. In a chaotic world like that, only the army has the clearance to gather intel and travel freely. He arrived at Chishi City Border Outpost. He greeted the team captain for the Chishi City Patrol, Jia Jun, and apologized for arriving late. Jun kicked him. He was annoyed that he slacked off again and arrived late for his watch. He climbed a tall ladder while he heard someone say to him that when the big shots arrived, they could finally be clocked out. Then Jun warned him that if he screwed up, he'd make his life a living hell. Half a year ago, the Crimson Mist erupted. Most cities fell to ruin and became habitats for the aberrations. Along with the Crimson Mist, a mysterious Crimson Spire also appeared. The surviving humans can only eke out a living on the borderlands, far from the Spire and the Crimson Mist. As he watched the fallen city from a tall area, it made him wonder if the big aberration was still over there. Jun said that the Special Response Unit was there, so they just needed to go through the motions. And even if they can't hold the line, a bunch of grunts like them couldn't do anything about it either. They were talking about the famous Special Response Unit, so the man asked him why he thought they would fall, when the unit had been crushing aberrations all the way there. Meanwhile, our MC sat there on the cliff, while still hating the smell of the Crimson Mist. The fog brings out a creature's primal bloodlust and makes them turn to each other. Then he saw the Crimson Mist parting. He realized something was charging towards them. A soldier also noticed that something was wrong, so they pointed it at the captain. The captain scolded him for making a fuss. Then they saw the Crimson Mist surging towards them, and the Special Response Unit was running towards them. They asked what in the world happened, but those men yelled at them to get back. The captain ordered everyone to fall back. The men from the special unit got engulfed by the Crimson Mist. Then the captain screamed out loud as his clothing got stuck. A dragon-like aberration had its talons on his hood. He thought it was the end for him. Our MC heard their screams from the cliff. He immediately jumped down. He landed on the aberration and crushed it. The other one turned its attention to the commotion. His hands transformed again. The other aberration attempted to eat him, but he ripped its head from the body. Then he absorbed a red energy from it. After absorbing that, he felt a little stronger. He got intrigued on what would happen if he absorbed a few more. 6 aberrations surrounded him, so his expectations got higher. But before he could do anything, those aberrations were hit by a powerful laser energy. He wondered who was there. A silver-haired woman was surprised to see him. This was the Blazing Blood Detachment Captain, Song Rui. He immediately recognized that it was someone from the Special Response Unit. He knew it wasn't good for him. He had to change back quickly. Rui ordered the unit to leave no one alive. Her men surrounded him. He raised his arms and told them not to shoot. He explained that he was Private Yan Hao of the patrol team. At 12 o'clock, the men fired. Their target was the aberration behind him. The Special Response Unit team confirmed that the target had been eliminated. Rui stepped forward and asked him where his weapon was. He knew he was screwed. Before Hao could answer, the man from the Special Response Team received an order for all units to withdraw from the outpost to the temporary defensive line, and no one was allowed inside without Officer Song's permission. Inside the tent, Rui received a report that there were 37 casualties at the sector outpost. Among them, 2 were from the Special Response Unit's Ember Blood Squad, and 30 were from the patrol team. That concludes the casualty report for the incident. Hao had to ask on why he was being detained. He claimed that he was a victim too. Rui read to him that at 17:23, he left his post without authorization for 2 hours. Shortly after he returned, the Crimson Mist riot occurred. She gave him the chance to explain himself. He needed to find a way to talk his way out of it. He stuttered at first, then he explained that he took a nap in the nearby ruins but had informed their captain. His teammate said that he's late for every mission, and the captain always lets it slide. This rat annoyed him. He threatened him with his gaze that if he continued spouting nonsense, he'd kill him. The man warned him not to frame the captain. Rui realized that their patrol team has quite a few problems. As if sensing he was being talked about, Jun sneezed. He was wrapped in bandages all over his body, but the doctor assured that he's not going to die. All his tests came back pretty normal. But the team member beside him doubted if that could really be considered normal. Back in the tent, Rui reads the file that says that he only passed basic training 3 months ago. In the last battle, even the Special Response Unit lost 2 people, yet Hao managed to survive. Hao replied that he's scared of dying, and he was on a track team back in school, so he was faster than most. He claimed that when he saw the crimson mist coming, he ran. She asked him why he would join the army when he's scared of dying. She asked if he had some other objective. During the 6 months he had been searching for Yu, he had been constantly killing and absorbing low-level aberrations. He gradually learned to control his transformations between beast and human form. For half a year, he avoided people like a lone wolf. He used the most primitive method to search every ruin, visiting every human settlement. As a soldier, Rui called him a coward who clings to life. She was mad that he abandoned his post and withheld information. She expected that he knew the consequences. He asked if she's going to execute him. She whispered in his ear, asking what was going on with his hands. That confirmed that she saw it. She asked why he would lie and what his real objective was. Their conversation got interrupted when the ground shook. She thought it was an earthquake, but Hao was familiar with that feeling. He stood up and told her to run. It was a horde of aberrations approaching. She was annoyed that he tried to run away while in front of her. It was like she wasn't even there, so she subdued him. The men with her got scared that she's losing it. They told her to go easy, because the ground would collapse, and it did. They fell in a dark area. They were now underground. It was too dark, so Rui ordered the lights on. The man called Hao a walking disaster. Nothing good happens when he's around. He replied that they should complain after making it out alive. The man doubted if they would really be able to go out. They got the light stick on. They saw the area was like a maze dug by an aberration. Rui ordered them to stay calm and check their weapons. Also, to maintain their formation and cover their backs. There was a gust of wind. It caught Hao's attention. The man beside him asked why he glanced there. He replied that he heard wind. The man immediately thought it was a way outside, so he went to check. The man happily reported that there was indeed a breeze. He commended Hao, saying that even if he was a brat, he's a first-class escape artist. He also saw light ahead. He got excited, saying after knowing that there's a path ahead. He didn't notice that an aberration was creeping behind him. Rui yelled at him to get down. She fired and beheaded the monster. The green fluid almost hit him. The fluid from these beetles was corrosive. Then she scolded the man, telling him not to act without her orders. She recognized that Hao was avoiding risks. She told him that once they get out, he must explain everything. Hao wondered what she's planning. She knew his secret and hasn't called him out on it yet. Then they heard a sound. They could tell something was coming. It was a horde of aberrations. Those bugs came out of the holes. They were really in deep trouble. Those bugs crept towards them. They fired at it as they fled. But Hao sensed something. Rui saw him and yelled at him not to stop and keep running. But he noticed that the swarm had stopped. The other men saw something ahead. It was such a large aberration. They called it a dominator class, and it had absorbed the crimson mist, and it converted the crimson mist into energy. Hao told them to pay attention because that thing was dangerous. Rui fired at it. At the same time, it unleashed the energy. It got hit. But when Rui saw the incoming energy, she froze. Fortunately, our boy blocked the attack with his transformed hand. She was surprised. He told her that when they make it out there alive, he would explain everything properly to her. He made his other hand transform too. She was worried because even her attack had no effect. She wondered if he truly had a way. She told him to be careful. He replied yes. Then he charged at it. This Dominator class aberration reminded him of the previous aberration. The monster had rankings: Scout class, Hound class, Dominator class, Colossus class, and Catastrophe class. He got curious how much stronger he could become once he had absorbed it. After his attack, he realized how tough it was. If it was a normal beast, it would have been torn to pieces already. Its massive body was an oversized armored war vehicle. He assumed that it must have devoured quite a few of his kind. It attacked him, but he got away. He even commented that it was too slow. He was curious if it placed all its enhancement into defense, but it was nothing but a moving target. The other two men fired at it, but they couldn't believe it. The guy who always ran faster than anyone else. The one who is most afraid of death. It made them question who Yan Hao truly was. Rui replied that he was an experimental subject secretly developed by the Special Unit United Government for fighting alien beasts. They couldn't believe that it was a guy who took 3 months just to pass basic training. The one who runs faster than anyone at the first sign of danger would be an anti-beast combat experiment. They asked Rui if she already knew about it. She replied that she only confirmed it when he blocked the beast's attack for her earlier. The other man was silent. He was the Crimson Blood Expedition Squad Deputy Officer, Lin Yongji. He doubted if the special unit really had such experimental subjects. Or it could be that his captain, Rui, was hiding something. She explained that he escaped from the laboratory, and they didn't expect him to slip into the border patrol. The man inquired if the last Crimson Mist outbreak incident was because of Hao. She replied that it can't be ruled out, which was why she must investigate him. She warned the guy that it was top-secret information of the special unit, so whatever he sees or hears shouldn't be leaked out. She confirmed if the patrol soldier understood. He replied yes. The large aberration gathered energy on his mouth again. Then it released the condensed orb energy. And that's not good. He told the three to dodge. It hit the ground. Rui was able to evade. The unnamed patrol soldier was surprised that he's alive. Youngji grabbed him to help him dodge earlier. Then this patrolman saw that his leg was injured. Youngji assured him that he wouldn't die. He couldn't believe that a man from a special operations unit would do that for a lowly person, like who was just a mere soldier. Youngji replied that one leg in exchange for one life was quite a bargain, but the patrolman was worried because his mission was to target a beast, and he just lost an important combat ability for him. He clarified that he didn't become a soldier just to kill those damned beasts. He exists to protect. And as humanity's final shield, he would never abandon anyone. It made the patrolman speechless. Meanwhile, Hao was thrown by the monster. The Crimson Mist's energy had been depleted. He could no longer maintain a single arm transformation. He was up against a Dominator-class steel shield thorn bug. Now he learned how troublesome this Dominator class was. The Dominator-class steel shield thorn bug roared loudly. It targeted Hao, but it got hit on the side. It was from Rui. She yelled at Hao that he can't die yet. There were still so many things he had to explain. The Dominator-class steel shield thorn bug laughed. Rui noticed it. Then she saw the Crimson Mist surging out from the cave. The interconnected tunnels let it easily transfer the Crimson Mist from other places. And because of that, the bug could replenish its energy. She saw its wound starting to heal. If that goes on, it will return to its peak state again. She realized that the sudden Crimson Mist eruption at the outpost before was its doing. She knew they couldn't kill it, so she suggested running while they could. But he refused to. He wanted to kill it. Summoning the red mist had also replenished him. Now that it can't move recklessly, it was their best chance to attack. But if they fail, he would die there. He wandered the gates of hell a lot of times, and one more time doesn't matter. She agreed with him and took the only chance they had. She planned to unleash all of her power to blast open its head armor. Then Hao will take the chance to destroy its brain completely. It was the only way they could defeat it. She opened fire. At the same time, Hao went towards the monster. With Rui's attack, the head armor had been shattered. Then, Hao followed it up with his own attack and it landed on its head, and then continuously attack it. The green fluid leaked out of its body. Rui waited to find out if they succeeded. Hao fell from its head and crashed on the ground. She immediately rushed to his side. She asked if he's all right. She saw something fall on top of him. It was a photo. She didn't notice the black crystal on his hand. It dug to his palm. Deep in his consciousness, he was confused at first. And later, he saw himself, but he couldn't control his body. He realized that he completely turned into a beast. But he's confused about what he's doing. He wondered if it was like his life flashing before his eyes. He saw a glowing DNA. Eventually, he felt that he could move, and he felt something on his chest. It was the crystal inside the giant aberration. It looked like some kind of energy body. He was confused how it transferred on his chest when he was just holding it earlier. Then it absorbed the Crimson Mist. Not only that, but it also stores it. So even if he absorbs more Crimson Fog than before, and beastify further, he won't need to worry about losing control anymore. It was like insurance when he lost control. It would reclaim the Crimson Mist in his body and restore his sanity. That way, he could absorb the aberration without hesitation and evolve stronger. He doesn't need to worry about counting every kill. He was disappointed when he learned that the crystal had limited capacity. If it continued, it would burst. Then he remembered something. In the bug's last move, it consumed a huge amount of Crimson Mist. Since it can absorb Crimson Mist, he converges it together. Meanwhile, his body was placed in a hospital bed. The Crimson Fog leaked out from his chest. Eventually, he opened his eyes. Then he gathered the Crimson Fog in his palm. At that moment, Rui entered and saw him. She panicked and asked what he's doing. He yelled at her to get out of the way. Then the energy burst with such force that it erupted outward. 5 minutes ago. The patrolman reported to Rui about Yongji's leg. She replied that he was a soldier and was prepared for it, so there was no need for him to blame himself. Rui entered the hospital room. Yongji asked her what was the deal about Hao, since he had never heard of the special unit having test subjects. She replied that it was a top-secret case. She took his tablet and advised him to focus on his recovery and not to concern himself with anything else. Also, she had informed him that she had requested a transfer for him to the logistics department at the headquarters, so from then on, he could get some proper rest. He replied that he will report the matter truthfully to her father, Chief Staff Song Lian. He trusted that he would make his own judgment. It made her furious and reminded her who his superior officer was. From then on, his communication privileges were frozen. He also wasn't allowed to go anywhere. After that, she went straight to Hao in Ward 314. They've arrived in his room. She ordered the patrolman to guard at the door. No one was allowed to enter without her command. And when she opened the door, Hao had a concentrated energy on his hand. He was extremely surprised to see her. She asked what he was doing while he yelled at her to get out of the way. He could no longer control the energy, and it was unleashed. She ducked to evade it. The powerful force of the energy also made the patrolman outside fall. It passed through 3 buildings, the last one being split in half. From the window, Yongji saw that the abandoned building was pierced through. He wondered if Hao did that. If so, he wondered how long Rui could hide the whole situation. The patrolman trembled in fear, as he also complained about being the unlucky one. He called for help since he didn't want to die. Rui recognized that it was the bug's move from before. It made her curious why Hao could use an aberration's abilities directly without beastification armor. She reminded him that he owes her a few explanations. They went to the hospital rooftop and discussed it. She learned about him and summarized that not only can he absorb an aberration's beast core, but he can also learn its abilities. He added that it wasn't just that, because he could also absorb and store more crimson mist, and that the crystals were able to self-repair. She smiled as he commented that he had a lot of features. He admits to having obtained their strength and abilities, but he also worries that he's slowly becoming one of them. It made him question if someone like him could still be considered a real human. He asked her what she sees him as. She replied that he's one of a kind, and being a human or monster would depend on how he uses his power. She also knew his power was both a disaster and a weapon. She gave him 2 options. Either he joins the Blazing Blood and becomes a reserve soldier in her squad, or be classified as a threat and be eliminated just like the aberrations. He asked about the elimination. Then she admitted that the troops in the city don't have the ability to do that, even her. But also thinking that he could take the special unit alone was far too arrogant. She persuaded him that joining her squad has its benefits, status, intel, and resources, and she would handle any trouble that would come his way. He was amused that she's willing to take on a dangerous element like him that she just met and whose power was out of control. He could tell the price was high, and for her to go through all that trouble to recruit, he knew she must have some other objective. She could tell he was smart. Then she admitted that there's a reason why she needs him. She assured him that they aren't enemies, and then she suggested to think of it as a transaction. He was surprised when she revealed a photo of him with his sister. Then she warned him not to underestimate her. If she wanted to investigate his past, it would be a child's play for her. Then she told him that if he joins Blazing Blood, she would use their highest-level intelligence network and every resource at her disposal to help him find his sister. Hao knew to himself that there's a limit to what he can do searching blindly on his own, and just as she said, a higher rank and status in the military, he'd be able to investigate more places and it would be easier to move around. He accepted the deal, but he suggested that since she needs him so much, she should give him an increase in pay. He admitted that all his previous salary had been spent when he looked for his sister. As the captain of the Blazing Blood, she approved him as a Blazing Blood reserve soldier with salary and benefits at the highest standard. Then she instructed him to get the hell out and do the paperwork. He followed the order. He headed to the patrol team to handle the transfer at once. But before he left, she remembered something. She paid for the damages he did in the hospital, so she would be deducting it from his salary. Then she thought of her uncle and became even more determined to save him. Hao couldn't believe he had to pay for it after all. Rui had a feeling that he holds the key to turning an aberration back into human. A few days later at Chishi City Patrol Team Garrison Building, Hao learned that the other patrolman was going to the Special Response Unit too. The patrolman boasted that the captain and Deputy Yongji thought highly of him. Although he joined the logistics department, he was confident that they could work together. Hao doesn't even remember the guy's name. He hadn't really paid much attention before. Suddenly, the man saw Captain Jun, and he was okay now. Hao turned to him. Jun's right arm and left leg were broken. The big muscular guy could remember how he slapped him for a mute woman, and now Jun was acting like a stray dog begging their city defense team for his squad member's pension. Then he kicked the injured Jun. He was the Chishi City Defense Team captain Zhang Shi. The patrolman with Hao got angry and charged at them, but he was subdued by two men. He yelled at them to let go of the captain. Shi grabbed Jun's jaw, spat at him, and told him to get on his knees and lick the mud off his shoes, or else he'd break the kid's arm and give it to him as a crutch. Jun grits his teeth. He was about to get on his knees, but Hao lifted him and told him that there's no need to kneel. He was surprised to see Hao. Hao acknowledged that he helped him a lot before, and this time it was his turn to repay the favor. He announced his presence and warned that if anyone dared to touch a single hair on the captain's head, he'd break their bones and burn them for firewood. It angered everyone. They all charged at him while saying that he's courting death. Hao evaded them. He kicked the first one, elbowed the second guy, kicked the third guy on the knee, and punched the fourth one on the gut. The last man crashed on the wall. In an instant, all four were down. Then the guy behind Shai yelled that their captain was an E-rank warrior. They told him that he would be dead for attacking them. Deep inside, Shi was surprised that he took his men down in just 4 seconds. It made him wonder how he's so fast. Shi pointed the gun at Hao. He couldn't believe that trash from the patrol team dared to oppose the city guard. He fired 3 bullets at him. Then Hao grabbed the gun while telling him the speed at which he fired. It was too slow. Then Hao crushed the gun in his hands. He told him that his speed wasn't even a percent of Rui's. Shi became furious and took out a dagger. But Hao grabbed his hand. He threw the weapon and grabbed Shar by the neck. He remembered that the guy wanted the captain to kneel. He tightened his grip, which made Shai panicked. Hao glared at him and told him it was his turn. Then he smacked the shit out of this guy down into the ground, and that left him unconscious with his mouth frothing. The other men couldn't believe that he dodged a bullet and crushed a standard issue pistol with his bare hands. Deep inside, Hao realized that the physical strength enhanced by the Beast Corps was beyond his expectations. The members of the defense team called him a monster, then they ran away. He picked up the crutch. Then the patrolman approached him and told him that he's like a god of war. He asked if he's okay. He replied that his body could take the beating. Hao gave the crutch to Jun. He thanked him. But Hao replied that he had nothing to thank him for, since he had always taken care of him. Standing up for him was the only thing he could do. But Jun became worried that the city defense team would come looking for trouble with him. The patrolman told him that he had nothing to worry about, because Hao and him became members of the Special Response Unit, so the city defense team wouldn't dare do anything to them. That night, at Chishi City, Special Response Unit, temporary base. Rui asked if all the handover paperwork was done. He replied yes. Then she informed him that she sent his application to join the team to headquarters, and the headquarters had approved it. He was impressed at how efficient they were. He asked if it means that he became an official member. She told him not to be hasty because the next step was the real step. He must depart immediately for the headquarters in Hucheng to participate in the entry assessment for the Special Response Unit's Combat Division. She believed that with his strength, passing won't be a problem. He was confident that he would even set a new record. At Hucheng, the armored vehicle made its way. Rui informed Hao that Hucheng was the capital of the special unit. Blazing Blood's headquarters were there too. Hao heard that the minimum rank for an official Blazing Blood member was a D-rank warrior. He asked how those ranks were determined. He pointed at the unnamed patrolman beside him and said that he was weak, so he couldn't believe that he's taking Blazing Blood's assessment. The unnamed patrolman replied that he could take a beating. Rui clarified that he's joining the logistics team, not the combat team, so he doesn't need to take the combat assessment. The unnamed patrolman informed him that the logistics team fights right alongside the combat team, so later on, Hao might have to rely on him. Since they had a lot of time while on the way, Rui wanted to sink some intel. She explained that people like her who can use some special abilities were collectively known as warriors. A warrior's combat power was divided into 6 ranks: A, B, C, D, and E. The Special Response Unit headquarters has a special rating system. The basics they look at are physical strength and stamina, and as for aberrations, they're classified from weakest to strongest. The 5 classes were Scout class, Hound class, Overlord class, Behemoth class, and calamity class. Under normal circumstances, an E-rank warrior can defeat a scout class aberration by the same logic. D-rank warriors could handle hound class aberration. C-rank and B-rank warriors could manage against overlord class aberration, and an A-rank warrior could handle a behemoth class aberration, and only the S-rank warrior could handle a calamity class aberration. In addition to that, the affinity with a beast core also affects the rank. Hao asked about the beast core affinity. She explained that in the recent world, only aberrations that mutated from the Crimson Mist have special abilities. Human warriors, on the other hand, could only awaken special abilities by attuning to an aberration's beast core through beast core armament. So things like his physical condition, talent, and even luck all affect his beast core affinity. The better his affinity, the higher the quality and number of abilities he can awaken. If he can't attune to a beast core, the highest rank he can achieve is E rank. The military truck had stopped. A member of the city defense team informed them that the street was closed due to traffic. They were advised to take a detour. They couldn't believe that these men dared to block the special response unit. The city defense reasoned that they're also on official business, so they had no choice. A white car with a green intertwined vine logo passed by. Rui saw it and wondered what a big shot from the Green Vine group was doing there. She could tell something was not right. An hour later, at the Blazing Blood entry assessment site, the man in front informed everyone that Blazing Blood was humanity's strongest shield and the Special Response Unit's sharpest blade. He is Ling Yongxin, head examiner of Blazing Blood and also an A-rank warrior. He didn't care what kind of background they had, but once they're in there, they had to play by their rules. He also informed them that pulling strings won't be tolerated. He doesn't care who they are. If they didn't have what it takes, then they shouldn't even think of staying in Blazing Blood. The first event was the physical assessment. The first task was the 50-kilogram weighted 100-meter dash. Hao reached the end in just 5.10 seconds. Next was the electromagnetic force-weighted dumbbell. Hao surprised everyone when he lifted the 100-kilogram. After that was the striking power test, which came out too easy for him. He actually broke the testing machine, so his score couldn't even be calculated. 10 minutes later, he informed the head examiner that he had completed all the events. Yongxin confirmed it and announced his score to be 198 points. It surprised everyone since the previous rookie record was only 140. Some assumed that he cheated. Someone approached Yongxin and raised a concern that the rookie record was 140 points. So this man, Zhang Jin, was the Chishi City defense team captain's younger brother, refused to accept that Hao exceeded the record. Yongxin replied that he supervised it himself, and it was all on camera. He got offended since it seemed like he was accusing him of letting Hao through the back door. Jin replied that he wouldn't dare, though he was curious. He asked Hao if he's from the Chishi City patrol team. Hao was confused, but he replied yes. Then he told him that he just wanted to say hello, since they're from the same hometown. But deep inside, he planned something sinister for the kid. He wanted revenge for his older brother who was humiliated. Hao was intrigued when he mentioned that they were from the same hometown. Yongxin informed him that the guy was Jin, one of those rich kids from the Chishi City defense team. He asked if he knew him, but he didn't. But after learning that he's from the Chishi defense team, he realized that the whole city defense team crowd was rotten to the core. Later on, Yongxin announced the result of the physical test. In 30th place was Zhang San with 89 points, and so on. Then the third place was taken by Zhang Jin with 123 points. Second place was Jin Ying with 135 points, and the first place was Hao with 198 points. A blonde woman looked delighted. She came to take the assessment for fun, but she couldn't believe that there would be such a strong rookie. She got excited to study him closely. This person was Jin Ying, a senior researcher in the Technical Intelligence Bureau, in the single dorm room. Jin was talking to someone through the tablet. He felt bad that he hadn't gotten first place. He complained that two monsters showed up out of nowhere, but the person on the line told him that if his brother wasn't a dog for the Green Vine group, he wouldn't even qualify for the assessment. They reminded him that he only had one chance, so he better not screw it up. He was determined to get into Blazing Blood for his brother. At the Beast Core testing station, Yongxin assured them that the test wasn't complicated. They just had to put on the wrist guard and place the Beast Core on it to begin the test. Anyone with a Beast Core affinity below 40% would be eliminated immediately. He explained the Beast Core, just in case there's someone who doesn't know it yet. Only Hound class or higher aberrations can produce a Beast Core. The stronger the aberration, the higher the quality of the Beast Core it produces. By socketing a beast core into an aberration armament, a warrior can use special abilities just like an aberration. Black quality beast core was commonly found in Hound class and Overlord class. The quality goes up from black, rust red, blood red, pink, and the highest was the gold. Everyone has a different affinity for beast cores and will awaken abilities of different attributes based on that affinity and their own innate talent. They could be elemental, power, or support control. The wrist guard was the lowest grade of aberration armament. It can only test their own affinity, and it won't grant them any abilities. Once they officially join the Blazing Blood Combat Division, they would be given better beast cores and aberration armaments. Then he announced the beginning of the beast core affinity test. The first one was a D rank with an affinity of 39%. He fell into despair because he ranked 5th in the physical exam, and yet this assessment was even harder than killing aberrations. The next candidate was classified D rank with 56% affinity. He was so happy he passed and could finally join the Blazing Blood. Jinx was next. His eyes were red. He picked up the stone and placed it on the wrist guard. Then he ordered it to obey him. Then it showed his score. D rank with 605 affinity. Everyone was shocked because the strongest rookie last year only got 56%. He could be the strongest one for that year. Jin claimed they're a bunch of trash and he's the strongest one in there. Hao watched his confident ass get down from the stage when Ying approached him. She asked if he's from Chishi City. She was curious why she never heard someone as strong as him before. She told him that she's a know-it-all at the technical bureau, so it was a surprise that he managed to stay off her radar, which made him impressed. Then she deduced that the abnormal fluctuation in the Crimson Mist's concentration in Chishi City a few days ago had something to do with him. He tried to play dumb. She told him that it's fine even if he won't admit it. She just wanted to express to him how interested she was with him. He took the chance to extract information from Miss Know-It-All. She agreed to it. But she had a condition. If his score was higher than hers, she'll tell him anything he wants to know. Then she was called to go in front. She called everyone's attention and announced that she was about to break Jin's record. Hao got intrigued if she's that strong, while Jin insulted her. She picked up the black stone, spun it on her hands, and placed it on the wrist guard. Then it showed that she's a D rank with 78% affinity. Everyone was shocked. Then, they recognized her to be the Jingli girl. She grinned widely. Then when she went down, she emphasized how she proved that she can break Jin's record. It made Jin angry. Besides Hao, he couldn't let the stinking bitch get away either. Hao was the last one to be called. Since he learned how strong she was, he started to be convinced that she's not lying. It could be that she knew a lot. Ying asked him if he's feeling pressured. For a clue about his sister, he was determined to win the bet. He told her to watch closely. According to Rui, his rank was at least C rank. The quality of the beast core was black, just like the one he absorbed. It made him curious what his affinity rate was going to be. He placed the stone on the wrist guard and got prepared to see how much potential he had. He expected C rank. He could imagine everyone's jaw dropping in shock because it was the level of a squad leader. But the system showed an error. A result like that had never happened before. It revealed 0%. Jin laughed loudly at him. It was hilarious that even the beast cores rejected him. Hao pouted. Then he saw his wrist guard. It emitted crimson mist. His body was forcefully devouring the beast core. Ying couldn't believe he got 0%. The worst anyone had before was at 1%. She had to record it. She knew the old man would be happy with it. Jin had a devilish grin seeing that beast core. He reported that Hao stole the beast core. Immediately, Yongshin instructed Hao to raise his hand so he could see the wrist guard and the beast core. It was gone. He asked where it was. He demanded an explanation. Hao replied that he doesn't know either. He felt awkward. He had to make up a reason at once, or he definitely turned into a lab rat. He took a gamble. He disguised his bestialization as an ability activated by the beast core. He showed them his claw-like hands. Jin was shocked. He wondered what that was. Immediately, Yongshin drew out his weapons and alerted all units. He told the participants to fall back, while Ying got excited at the sight of bestialization. Jin wondered if the guy was infected. Again, Yongshin told them to get back. He was determined to deal with him at once. Ying called Hao to ask if he could hear her. He asked her what. Yongshin was slightly caught off guard that he hasn't lost his mind. Hao nonchalantly replied that it was the beast core's ability, that it suddenly drilled into him. And then that happened. Ying was glad. He didn't go berserk, so it must have been a transformation ability. She got excited because it was the first time it happened. Yongxin told him that he hit the jackpot. Recovering on his own after transforming was unheard of. It was such a rare ability. It made Hao curious who Ying truly was because she knew so much. She smiled and replied that she's the one who knows everything. Yongxin revealed that she's a blazing candidate for the term, and also a senior researcher at the Technical Intelligence Bureau. Her father, Major General Jin Ancheng, was in charge of the entire Technology Research and Development Department. She got annoyed that he leaked the secrets and completely ruined her mysterious aura. Yongxin ended the conversation there and asked Hao to hand over the beast core. He was in a pinch. He admitted that it's not because he didn't want to hand it over, but the thing had latched onto his body and won't leave. Jin heard that. He immediately thought to report that to the Green Vine people. It made Hao the perfect test subject. At the radiology room, Hao was scanned by a machine. The researchers couldn't believe that a beast core grew on a person's body, and since the beast core had fused with his body, it can't easily be removed. They asked Director Jin what he thinks. He replied that it was worth researching. He could tell that there's more secrets there. Major General Jin Ancheng was the deputy director of the Technical Intelligence Bureau. Two men entered and inquired about the situation and the kid's background. He asked if the Blazing Blood still planned to stick with the rules and not accept anyone with less than 40% compatibility. Song Lian, the lieutenant general, chief of the general staff for the Special Response Unit, told him to stop being mysterious and reveal what was going on. Ancheng led the team that developed the testing equipment with Green Vine. He knew better than anyone that it was 0%. Ying told her dad to hurry up and reveal it because the suspense was killing her. She asked what was up with Hao. He revealed that the machine's reading went off the charts. The compatibility was unprecedented. It exceeded the theoretical maximum set at 100%. Lian ordered Yongxin to come with him immediately. Meanwhile, while inside the machine, Hao noticed the beast core turned red from black. He wondered if it was because it absorbed the small beast core. Before, absorbing the Overlord class aberration beast core led him to steal its ability and also activated the crystal core in his body. And now, absorbing a low-level beast core didn't grant him the ability, but the beast core was strengthened. From deep black, it turned to rust red. Total crimson mist storage had increased as well as crimson mist absorption efficiency. It became a dull, dark reddish brown like Old Rush with a matte finish and mottled dark impurities. In other words, the stronger the beast, the stronger he'll become after absorbing it. At the Special Response Unity Blazing Blood headquarters, Rui argues with Lian. She brought Hao in there, so she asked him what was the problem with him joining her squad. He reminded her to watch her status and tone. He also pointed out how she's paying too much attention to that C-rank rookie. She insists to her father that she promised to bring him into her team. She asked him not to make her a soldier who can't keep her word. But Lian argued that a soldier's word is to the country, not to an individual. He also firmly told her that Hao already joined Yongxin's team, and that can't be changed. He asked if she planned to fight a fellow Blood Squad leader for a recruit. He ordered to return to her post. She could only comply. But deep inside, she was determined to find another way. At the Blazing Blood Barracks lounge, someone reported great news to Big News. It was Ying. She informed him that the newly discovered nest between Lake City and Redstone City was sending Blazing Blood rookies to explore. She applied with instructor Yongxin for them to team up. Yan Hao was identified to be a C rank and a member of Special Response Unit Blazing Blood under Yongxin's squad. Later on, Yongxin briefed them that the mission objective was to investigate and assess the threat level. He warned them to stay alert. Even though it was a nest, it could have changed due to the Crimson Mist. Ying, a D-rank senior researcher at the Technical Intelligence Bureau, also became a member of Yongxin's squad. She told him that data collection was her strongest suit, so she got him. The threat level of the beast nest was divided into 4 levels: low, medium, high, and extremely high. There were also many different types like high to medium. The low-level nest they're going to was a hive type. Its characteristic was a simple structure, but the internal passages were complex, and the deadliest part was... There was a massive swarm of stinger bees composed of a large number of worker bees and a small number of soldier bees. Hao asked if a single person can't take care of a hornet's nest. He couldn't believe that they needed 3 cars full of people. Ying replied that iron bees were not little honeybees. Suddenly, the driver noticed something strange. Hao saw the bees outside. He was surprised when he saw how big those bees were. Just as Ying said earlier, they were Scout-class iron bees, and they're nothing like honeybees. The driver was the unnamed patrolman who became a private Special Response Unity service member. He told them to hold on tight. The bees released their stinger. It was how they attacked. Ying knew the armored car couldn't withstand that. Hao volunteered to handle the swarm outside. It was the perfect timing to try his newly developed move. His door melted. Then he jumped out of the car. He told them to find cover and defend. Then he charges at those bees. The unnamed patrolman was shocked and confused on what kind of ability used a door as a weapon. Ying explained that it was a transformation ability. Then she shared that during the assessment, Hao absorbed a beast core, and at that time, he could only transform himself, so she didn't expect him to be able to cover objects with the transformation ability. She got excited after learning that he could turn objects into weapons. She just had to record his combat data and study him carefully when they got back. Something was shot at Hao. The green stuff pierced through his arm. That aberration was stronger than the others since it could break through his defenses. He had to figure out where it was being shot from, otherwise he'll be worn down sooner or later. He told them that there's another enemy, but its location was unknown. He advised them to be careful and hide. They got behind a rock. One of the Special Response Unit members went the other way while saying that iron bees were afraid of fire. Ying yelled at him not to go out. As soon as he did, he got shot with the green spikes. And then fire engulfed him. Hao asked Ying where the green spikes came from. She saw that it was a hound-class queen bee. Its tail stinger has venom that can corrode armor below C rank. She couldn't believe that there's actually a hound class. It made the intel wrong since it wasn't a low-level nest at all. He sought their help in taking care of the scout-class iron bees while he went for the queen bee. She was up for it. She was an elemental type which had the basic ability of wind power. She unleashed a storm, and the gust of wind blew away the iron bees. The queen bee showed itself. Hao finally got it. It was a huge, menacing bee. He twisted the door and shaped it like a dual blade spear. Then he prepared himself to attack. He threw it with all his power. The spear traveled fast. It hit the queen bee. Hao had hit its vital point, but it was completely unfazed. It made Ying wonder how a hound class could have much power. She had a theory, so she told Hao not to let it escape, because it was about to advance to Overlord class. But Hao chose to lay on the ground and let it run since he's out of energy. And without any crimson mist to replenish, his energy was drained in an instant. He wished he stored some to fight the queen bee. Ying teased him if he's trying to play dead with his lifeless look. She asked if he needed a mouth-to-mouth. He replied that he's not interested in little kids. She got annoyed with his response. She gave her a Snickers bar while taking a break. He clarified that he's not out of energy because he's hungry. They were munching on it when the others arrived. They asked if they're okay. Hao replied that they're fine and suggested that they clean up the battlefield and set up a temporary camp, and the situation had to be reported immediately. Ying replied that she already reported it. When they checked, the queen bee was back in the hive, and the crimson mist concentration in the nest was still low. They could go in with their protective suits. Hao thinks they should wait for reinforcements. But she reasoned that the queen was injured, so it was a good opportunity to collect data and finish it off. And the threat level of the nest had risen to high-medium. If they succeed, they'll have completed a mission above their rank, and they would get a lot of benefits. Meanwhile, at the Special Response Unit headquarters, specifically in the Chief of Staff's office, Leon admitted that the highest-ups were currently very divided. It's not just people like them who want him to become a high-end combatant. There's also a bunch of mad scientists who advocate for using him as an experimental subject for research. He told Youngshin to keep a close eye on Hao because he's special. Suddenly, Youngshin received an urgent message. Leon ordered him to answer it. He received a report that the threat level of the nest Hao and the others were exploring was changing from low to high, and Ying had already gone in. It was absurd. Leon stated that Ying may seem unreliable, but she's meticulous. She wouldn't take such a risk, so he thinks something was strange. He ordered him to dispatch the nearest Blazing Blood unity for support. Rui will lead the team and depart immediately. Their primary objective was to ensure the safety of Ying and Hao, and the second one was to annihilate the beast nest. At that moment, Yongji came in. Youngshin thought he was still in the hospital. Leon clarified to Youngshin that he had his brother follow Rui. He asked if there was a problem, and Youngshin replied, no. So he ordered Yongji to report to Rui immediately and serve as her adjutant. Youngshin realized that it was him who arranged for his brother to be by Rui's side before. Leon did it for his daughter, despite not knowing why she's so interested in Hao. Meanwhile, Hao and Ying roamed the nest. Only him and her had the protective combat suits that can resist the crimson mist. He hoped everything would go smoothly. She saw the energy readings hadn't changed that much, but once the queen bee from earlier evolves into an overlord class, the difficulty of clearing the nest would increase dramatically. Hao sensed something, so he told her to stop. The queen bee showed up. This time it's a mutated iron-armored needle queen bee. Its size and oral apparatus on its tail could mean that it's an overlord class. She couldn't believe that it actually succeeded in evolving, when the low concentration of crimson mist shouldn't support such a rapid advancement. Not only that, but the other scout class poison needle bees had also been enhanced. She realized that the crimson mist concentration there has long since far exceeded the warning level. She couldn't understand why the analyzer didn't warn them. She fell on her knees and started coughing. She noticed that the protective suits had been tampered. The effectiveness against the crimson mist had been weakened. It led her to think that there's a mole in blazing blood. The crimson mist increased. He took her hand and ran to retreat. But deep inside, he was pleased that the crimson mist was delivered to him just when he was worried about lacking it. But he needed to get Ying to safety first, otherwise he couldn't fight it with peace of mind. A large stone fell in front of them. He told her to hide in there because the spot was concealed and well ventilated. She should be able to hold on for a while. Then she ordered him to contact the headquarters and have the reinforcements prepare protective suits while he held the aberrations off. She assured him to update them with data from inside the nest and the latest situation. Before he leaves, she warned him that if he doesn't come back, she'll chase him to the depths of hell and never let him go. He assured her that he'd definitely be back. The queen bee noticed him. He faced the mutated iron-armored poison needle queen bee, an overlord class, along with several other scout class iron bees. He was glad to have gained enough power to protect the people who were important to him, so this time he made the same promise he did with Shui, which was to not fail. The swarm flew towards him. He only had enough red fog energy left for one shot. He absolutely cannot fail. He focused to condense the energy on his hand, and then he detonated it. This attack was the Crimson Condensation Blast. It was a powerful explosion. That could even be seen from outside the hive. He wondered if it worked. But then the crimson mist spread, and the bees came out unscathed. He couldn't believe it. Meanwhile, 3 minutes ago, Ying couldn't believe that someone had tampered with the analyzer. She fixed it so it should measure the crimson mist concentration accurately. It warned her that the crimson mist exceeds limits. The readings were so high, they were more than double the alert value. Suddenly she felt a gust of wind. It led her to think that an explosion happened outside. It wasn't an ideal scenario. The explosion stirred up the crimson fog, making it even thicker. By absorbing the high-concentration crimson mist fog, the bee swarms were able to evolve rapidly. Even the lowest scout class ones have evolved into hound class. They attacked Hao. He noticed that there were more of them, and they're getting stronger. Even with the crimson fog around, his replenishment rate can't keep up with his consumption. If that continues, he'll be drained. Ying got worried if he could hold on. Then she noticed his neck. There was a symptom of crimson mist corrosion. She realized that his protective suit must have been tampered too. She watched the measuring device. The readings continued to rise. She knew Hao would lose control. She helped by blowing away the crimson mist around him first. So, she released a wind pressure blast. When she found the timing, she detonated it. Hao was confused when the crimson mist around him had been blown away. He cursed because his energy supply had been cut off. The bees released their green stings. He blocked it using his forearm. The stings got stuck on his arm, and that's when he realized it had a paralyzing effect. It released more stings behind him. He knew he couldn't dodge it. Suddenly, someone arrived and blocked the stings using his body. It was Yongji. He was a C-rank strength type. His basic abilities were body fortification, hardening, and super sensing. His beast core source was an overlord pangolin. He yelled at Hao to focus, since the fight wasn't over yet. The bees surrounded them. In an instant, it got cut with laser attacks. It was done by Rui. She's a C-rank elemental type with basic abilities such as electromagnetism, and her derived abilities were lightning strike, railgun, iron sand, hacking, and magnetize. Her beast core source was a behemoth-class eel. Hao asked what she was doing there. She explained that they have received orders from headquarters to support them. She ordered all units to charge and clear out those damn bugs. Her squad followed her orders and charged in. Team A suppressed the forward passage with high heat. Team B covered the mid-range with fire. Youngji and Hao were ordered to fall back to recover. They followed her orders. At the same time, the queen bee had targeted them. Those who saw it first warned them. But Rui ordered them not to look back and to continue running. She didn't expect the queen bee to be an overlord class. She had to use her move. It was the electromagnetic annihilation attack. It was a high-voltage electric field created by the move, and it will destroy and paralyze all objects within its range. They saw her attack and hit something. When they saw it was the queen bee, they realized it was the one mentioned on the intel, and it was escaping upwards. But since Rui paralyzed it, it won't get far. She ordered an annihilation of the surrounding swarm to prioritize rescue. Hao couldn't believe how strong she was. Youngji looked proud when he shared the last time in Redstone City. Rui hadn't even brought her main combat gear, and she wasn't wearing her combat suit, so she couldn't use her abilities at full power. She looked for Ying. Hao pointed to where she's at. Then Ying called her, and stated that had she been 10 minutes late, they would have been retrieving her corpse instead. She told him to treat her when they got back because she still owes her for also saving her last time. They had completed the first mission, which was to rescue the wounded, so they asked what their next move would be. She was ordered to exterminate the swarm and eliminate the threat of the beast nest. Meanwhile, Hao used the chance to quickly replenish some crimson mist energy. The crimson mist cannon blast didn't manage to finish off the queen bee, so he had to try again. He finished replenishing his energy. When he heard a noise, all of them got nervous and alert. The queen bee absorbed all the crimson mist from the entire nest. It looked like it was going to level up again. The reader warned them that it was about to break through level 4. Ying wondered where all the crimson mist came from. She got suspicious that the beast nest was actually a high-level one. The queen bee made a loud noise, which made a large sum of hound-class bees appear at the rear. Hao told them to handle the swarm, and he'd handle the queen bee since he had a way to deal with it. Rui announced to all the units to attack the swarm and cover Hao. Hao had to finish it for good, or else everyone in there would die. He hit it continuously, but his claws weren't enough. He released a crimson condensation blast again. It exploded in the area. He waited for the smoke to vanish to check if it worked, but it retaliated by unleashing its stinger. He realized that just bombarding it with energy wasn't enough to deal a fatal blow. He needed to find a suitable weapon. Then he noticed the queen bee's stinger on his side. He picked it up and used a bestialization coil. He held it like a sword. Then he approached the queen bee while evading its attacks. He coiled all his remaining crimson mist energy on his weapon. He prepared to return the favor of being granted a weapon. He held it tightly and sliced the queen bee with all his power. It caused another explosion in the air. After that, only the red beast core had remained from the queen bee. It was an overlord-class beast core, and he caught it. As soon as he touched it, he felt a pang of pain on his chest because the energy was so strong. It filled up the crystal core inside his body in an instant. He couldn't take it anymore. Meanwhile, Rui and the squad dealt with the swarm. Eventually, they wiped it all out. Ying expressed that he felt weaker. Rui ordered everyone to support Hao at once, but when she saw him, he was down on the ground. She called his name, concern evident in her voice. Hao was unconscious. They hooked him up on a monitor and saw that his heart rate was spiking and neural signals were erratic. He was exposed to too much red mist, so he could lose his mind anytime. Rui ordered Youngji to use the medical pod and block the neural transmissions. They moved to the temporary camp outside the nest. The unnamed Special Response Unit service member asked what was wrong with Hao. Youngji replied that Hao was fine. Rui assigned Ying to adjust and monitor the medical pod's parameters since she was a tech officer. The medical pod activated and anesthetic injection commenced inside. Ying told Rui that it was only a temporary fix. They still need to get back to the headquarters fast for proper treatment. Rui knew that. Meanwhile, inside Hao, he was being choked by a powerful version of himself while telling him to surrender his body and embrace the beast transformation. He assumed that it was his end. He thought of his parents and sister and felt apologetic towards them. He accepted that it was all over. But then, he saw his parents encouraging him to live. And also, Shui was there, reminding him of his promise to come back safe and sound. He remembered that she was still waiting for him. Then his colleagues surrounded him and told him to wake up. Ying refused to let him give up. They keep telling him he can do it. He realized that everyone was waiting for him. It registered to him that the fight wasn't over yet. He felt determined to live. He still had to find his sister and protect everyone, so he refused to go down. And he knew it wasn't just his responsibility, but his other self too. He broke free from the grip of his powerful self and got that other version of him chained up. He called his other self to go back since everyone was waiting for them. It merged with him. He grasped that there's a price for getting stronger. Every breakthrough was like dancing on the edge of an abyss. His consciousness came back, but he couldn't open his eyes, and his body won't move either. At that moment, the cars were on the move. The sandstorm was so intense that they couldn't see the road at all. It was dangerous to keep driving. Youngji informed Rui that there's an old city ruins 3 kilometers ahead so they could take shelter there. Rui asked Ying for Hao's status. Ying reported that the vitals were stabilized, but he hasn't regained consciousness. After learning that, she ordered Youngji to head for the ruins and to tell the vehicles behind them to follow. They reached the ruins. The 3 military trucks drove inside. Everyone was ordered to disembark and rest. But Rui could sense that something was off about the place. She ordered Ying to scan for environmental structural stability, crimson fog concentration, and heat signatures at once. Then she ordered her men to protect Hao on the pod, because that was also a direct order from the headquarters. Unbeknownst to them, someone watched them from the higher floor, and they were ambushed. Arrows were released towards them. Youngji saw the enemy attack and ordered everyone to take cover. He was hit by an arrow, but he hardened his arm to deflect it. Ying saw that the arrows were coated in bodily fluids of a venomous stinger wasp. Then a huge boulder came falling at them. Rui ordered everyone to spread out. She kicked the pod to get it out of harm's way. Then she got away just before the boulder hit. The debris flew all over the place. Youngji protected Ying using his hardened body. Then those men showed up. They were bandits and had planned to take everything. First, they threw glass bottles. Rui wondered what it was, but when it shattered, it released green gas. She realized it was the fluids of a Dominator-class mutated beast. The gas it produces has paralyzing effect. Then the bandits charged at them. A huge muscular man with an axe targeted Rui, but she skillfully evaded him and kicked him in the groin, and sent the man flying on the opposite wall. But just right after that, she saw something attached to the pod. She fell down as the paralysis took effect on her body. When the bandits had the hook attached, they started pulling. They saw those guys protecting the metal box with their lives, so they assumed that there's treasure inside. But Ying tried to go after it while yelling at them not to touch him, but someone shot an arrow on her ankle. She fell down and bled. She was in despair as she watched Hao get taken away. Meanwhile, inside the pod, a U-shaped mark appeared on Hao's upper chest, stretching from one side of the neck to the other. From the top ends of the U, a line extends to each shoulder. The mark glows faintly. Even when she was in pain, all she could think of was to save Hao. Rui told her to hang in there as she pulled the arrow. Inside Rui's head, it was such a failure since not only Hao was taken, Ying got hurt too. She broke half of the arrow, then bandaged her up. It was all they could do at the moment. She advised her not to move. Ying noticed how the bandits set up an ambush before they even got there. She finds it strange, and it made her wonder how they knew about their movements. Eventually, Youngji reported that the scene had been secured. Most of the vagrant bandits escaped while they were poisoned. There was a severe sandstorm outside, so she knew they couldn't have moved Hao above ground. With that, she suspects they had gone underground. Her men found an abandoned elevator shaft. A preliminary search suggests it was a passage to their hideout. She assembled a team immediately. Their next operation was a man-to-man combat with the objective to retrieve Hao. Rui ordered A-Team to secure the exit and protect Ying, while Youngji and Team B would rappel down with her. She reminded them that failure is not an option. The unnamed Special Response Unit service member wanted to go with them, but Rui refused because he's not a combatant and they don't know what was in there. The A-Team would protect him and Ying above ground, but he insisted because Hao was his best friend and the one who saved his life. So now that he's in danger, he just couldn't sit and wait. That convinced Rui. She warned him to stay close and not fall behind. Meanwhile, the bandits arrived at their base. They complained that the coffin was heavy, but it also made them curious about what was inside. They expected it to be good. One bandit carried an axe and told everyone to get out of the way. He raised his axe and hit the pod. The person who initiated to open the pod was the bandit leader, but he soon learned that the pod was tougher than a vault. They broke several crowbars and sledgehammers on it, and it hasn't even budged. A blonde young guy told them that he could open it, but they had to go down below. The bandit leader dismissed it as nonsense since there was nothing down there but a dead end. And the last 3 who went in never came back. They all laughed and mocked the kid. But the blonde guy insists that he has seen a key that can open it down there. The bandit leader got annoyed and grabbed the kid by the collar. This blonde guy offered him a deal that if he opens it, they would let him go, but if he can't, he can just kill them or do whatever he wants. The bandit leader warned him that if he tries any tricks, he'd slaughter him. Hao heard them and deduced that he ended up in the enemy hideout. After his beast core upgraded, his sensory abilities had been enhanced. Not only could he sense his immediate surroundings and the environment deep underground, but he can also sense the state of his own body. His beast core level was rust red with 67% crimson fog reservers. His evolved abilities in beast form were claws and tangle, and the abilities he acquired were crimson fog bomb and poison gland. He suspects that the poison gland came from the queen bee. The bandits arrived at the deeper floor. There was a fossil of a large creature in there. They warned the blonde guy not to try any tricks. The blonde guy pointed at one of the bones and told them that it was where the key was. The bandit leader ordered his men to bring the pod there. While doing so, the box exploded and the men were blasted away. Apparently, the box opened by itself. As soon as he rose, Hao released a poison gland. Everyone began choking. Hao liked the skill. It was a good support skill for crowd control. The bandit leader didn't expect that there's a person inside. He assumed that they purposely let them take him just so they could infiltrate the hideout. But Hao had no idea what they're talking about. The bandit leader intimidated him by introducing himself as a D-class warrior. He told him that killing a little punk like him would be as easy as crushing an ant. He was furious that they played dirty, so he attacked him. Hao activated the poison gland again, and then punched the bandit leader on the face. The bandit leader crashed on the wall, creating a dent on it. Someone got spooked and it caught Hao's attention. Hao asked the blonde guy if he wanted to try his strength too, but the kid just passed out. After dealing with the humans, he noticed the surroundings. There were so many mutated beast skeletons in the place. He inspected it and saw that the skeletons were all damaged, which tells him that they didn't die from natural causes. Someone intentionally placed them there to fight to death, like in a gladiator arena. Then he heard Rui's electromagnetic sound. He could hear it from 10 floors away. He commented that she was hot-headed as ever. The bandits fired. But Yongji hardened his body and went after them. He kicked one bandit, and eventually they had secured the area. But there was still no sign of Hao. Rui ordered them to keep searching. They noticed that there were mutated beast claw marks everywhere. It led them to think that the place holds some secret. They approached the pit, and one of the military men reported that the detector signaled that Hao was below. But then suddenly, the signal disappeared. Rui immediately suspected that the pod was destroyed, which puts Hao in danger. But suddenly Hao just jumped out of the pit with a passed-out blonde guy on his arm and greeted everyone. Our MC's back. And the power-up really has been evident. Yongji asked Hao if he's okay. He replied that he's fine now. Rui questioned what was down there. He told them what he saw, an abandoned fighting ring. Yongji asked the captain if they should investigate. Rui replied that withdrawal is their priority and would just arrange an investigation later. The unnamed member asked about the kid that Hao was holding. Hao threw him on the ground. The kid charged at him with a dagger, but he stopped his hand, and the dagger shattered when it hit his partial beast form. Scales. He asked the kid if he's that eager to die. The kid reasoned that all soldiers were bastards. The kid's eyes were red and red lines appeared on his face. He told Hao to kill him. Hao knew that those were the symptoms of crimson fog infection. He hit the kid at the back to make him unconscious. When the kid fell, the unnamed member saw a card fall. He picked it up and saw that it was his comrade, a Shuo of Redstone Patrol's IID. The person in the photo was older, but their features were similar. It led Rui to think they were brothers. The kid was in bad shape, so she ordered to take him back for treatment and investigation. The infection of the kid was still in early stages, so Hao thought that if he drew out the crimson fog energy from his body, he could still be saved. They eventually arrived at Lake City Special Operations Team Crimson Blood Encampment. A soldier saw that they're back, so one of them immediately headed to the young Master Jiang to report. Upon arrival, Rui instructed Yongji to take Ying to the medical bay immediately. Then Hao and the unnamed member were blocked. They had to abide by the latest quarantine regulations. Hao reasoned that there was no rule like that before, but the soldier insisted since it was an order from their superiors. They were told to cooperate by removing all their clothes for full disinfection and inspection. Rui questioned who gave these so-called orders from superiors. She clarified that she was the commanding officer and told the soldier to make his superior report to her immediately. A man came out and asked who was deliberately refusing to cooperate with the inspection. It was Jin. He told Rui that it was just a misunderstanding. Internally, he was confused on why Hao came back with Rui. She asked him if he was the one who ordered the logistics soldiers to do that. He reasoned that he's in charge of quarantine safety for new recruits, and since she and Ying were veterans of the Special Operations Team, they wouldn't have to undergo the inspection. But he advised Hao to cooperate. Rui yelled that it wasn't necessary. She was furious and asked who he thought he was. She reminded him that he doesn't call the shots. She told them to ignore him, and they walked past him. He yelled at them to wait. Then he pointed to the child and asked if they were going to bring that filthy little thing into the encampment. The unnamed soldier corrected him, saying that the kid was not a filthy thing, but his comrade's brother. After realizing that he's from the patrol, Jin commented that trash belongs in the dumpsters. He ordered the soldiers to take him. It angered the unnamed soldier, but Jin intimidated him by asking if he's planning to defy military orders. Rui was about to say something, but Hao stopped her. He activated some poison through his poison gland and told her to let him. He placed a hand on Jin's shoulder and told him to stop it. Jin thought he wanted to defy him, but he panicked when he felt the poison in his body. He had no idea when it happened. Hao whispered to him to say that he knew he didn't like him, but his methods were just too underhanded, so he advised him to stop while he still could. Then he pointed out how, with just a few words, Jin already fell on his knees. RMC then told the soldiers to take back their new team leader since he looked tired. They assisted Jin, who was furious with Hao but couldn't move his body. Rui asked what he had done. Hao simply replied that there's nothing to worry since he just made him lay in bed for a couple of days. A few moments later, they went to the medical laboratory. Ying informed Ancheng and Lian that her combat suit was deliberately smeared with a slow-acting corrosive agent. After exposure to high concentration of crimson fog, its protective function failed. Lian concluded that there's a traitor who didn't want Ying to come back alive. Lian knew that Hao was one of the targets too. Hao expressed that he believed that he was the primary target. Ying was just dragged into it because of him. This led Lian to decide that both of them were suspended from field missions until it was all cleared up. Ancheng told him that they had bugs to clean out at the headquarters. He hoped that he would send someone trustworthy to protect his daughter and Hao. He reminded him that if anything else goes wrong, neither of them would be able to bear the consequences. Lian was well aware of that. He assigned Rui to ensure the absolute safety of those two. A few days later, Hao pondered on the events that happened, such as suspension of field missions, a traitor in the army, Jin from the city defense, a Shuo from the patrol. Suddenly, the unnamed member called out to him. He asked what was wrong. The unnamed man whispered to Hao that when he was examining the boy, he found a photograph of a girl that looks like Hao's sister. Hao grabbed the man's arm while asking if he's telling the truth. The unnamed man whined that his wrist was going to break. They went to the boy's room. The unnamed member asked the doctor about the kid's condition. The boy's condition was stable, but he would need further observation. The infection was very severe when he first arrived, so the doctor was puzzled on how he suddenly got better those past few days. Hao approached the kid, which made the doctor question what he's doing. Hao requested the doctor to step aside for the crimson blood investigation. The doctor was worried. He understood that the kid was a bandit, but the way that the kid's infection symptoms had subsided was highly unusual. He hoped Hao wouldn't do something. Hao was well aware of this because, after all, he was the one who cleansed the crimson fog infection from the body. He saw the photo, and Shui was there. The boy woke up and raised his tone when he asked what Hao was doing. Hao asked where he saw the girl. The boy revealed that it was 6 months ago at the refugee settlement. Then he asked where she was now, but the kid doesn't know. He got frantic as he screamed that they were all gone, including his brother, who promised that he'd be right back if he just waited there. Hao remembered the same scene with her sister, and his promise to come back for her. The unnamed man informed Yan that a Shuo was sent to evacuate refugees back then, but got transferred to another mission during the evacuation. And then he went missing. Hao was puzzled on why he was assigned on another mission in the middle of that one. The unnamed man had no idea, so he suggested looking more into the mission files for the specifics. Hao absorbed the crimson fog from the kid. The unnamed man was confused about what he's doing. He told him not to tell anyone else about it. The unnamed man now knew why the infection suddenly cleared up. Hao told the kid that he would help him find his brother, but he had to tell him everything he knew about the girl in the photo. The kid wanted assurance that he'll really do that. Hao encouraged him to trust, because doing so was beneficial for both of them. The boy started to narrate what happened 6 months ago. After that, at the barracks cafeteria, the unnamed man asked Hao if he's really going back. Hao was certain of that since Shuo had already been on a mission for half a year. He could no longer wait. The unnamed man brought up Rui. She told him that there was a mole in the army that was trying to harm Hao, so he was ordered to stick with him and report any intel back to her. Hao was firm when he informed him that he came there for Zhui, and no one could stop him. Suddenly, Rui showed up behind him and asked who was trying to stop him. She was with Ying. The unnamed man asked Ying if her leg had healed. She replied that Crimson Blood has amazing top-tier medical care. Rui suggested that they move somewhere else to discuss. They transferred to a small conference room. Hao asked them how they all knew. Ying showed him the surveillance camera at the kids' room. The unnamed man was horrified when he learned that Ying was spying on them the whole time. She commented that he phrased it harshly, when she was just trying to protect everyone. There were some internal issues, so it's not impossible that someone could suddenly get kidnapped. Rui admitted that she was the one who had Ying pull up the surveillance footage, and the doctor came to her and explained the situation after he left them. She told Hao that she's not going to stop him. She promised him before that she would help him, so she hoped that he would trust her too. He was touched. Ying added that he should have more faith in her too. She also showcased her own special methods of investigation, and the unnamed man passionately expressed to Hao that he'll always support him. Rui asked him what his plans were. She requested him to explain his plans in detail. He agreed to it. Meanwhile, at the ruins on the outskirts of Redstone City. Before entering a dilapidated building, she was asked for the password. He replied, "Everywhere," and was allowed to come in. He informed the man on the couch that he had urgent business with Chief Hong. The man replied that Chief Hong had no time to see him. She replied that Hao was on his way to Redstone City from Lake City. The man replied that Chief Hong already had intel on Hao. Because of that, she was positive that Hao would meet his end. A few days later at the Redstone City outskirts checkpoint. The city guard had to inspect all entering vehicles. It was chaotic. Rui complained that the line was a total mess. She never saw them so active in defending the city before. Hao was impressed with her nice car. He didn't know that she had that kind of hobby. Since they weren't going there for official business, they can't use the military vehicle, so using her car was more discreet. The unnamed man asked if it was okay to leave Ying at the headquarters by herself. Rui had Yongji keep an eye on her, so she's confident that there wouldn't be any problems. Hao added that Ying had her own way of helping him investigate. She had to stay behind because that thing could only be accessed from the headquarters. Also, Ying could provide remote support through military comms. The window of their car was knocked for the security check. Suddenly, a guard informed everyone that there's an approaching beast 1 kilometer away. It was a pack of iron spine wolves. The defense soldiers fell back as fast as they could. Rui got furious that those men just left them all stuck there. Hao got out of the car and gestured that he'll take care of the monsters. The people ran as fast as they could as the iron wolves approached. One person was about to get bitten. Luckily, Hao clawed at those aberrations. He told the others that if they want to live, they should run. Then he faced the Scout-class iron spine wolves. The scene was so familiar to him. It was the same during his first encounter with them, and that time, he lost his sister. But now he refused to let that happen again. The defense soldiers saw him and couldn't believe that he took out the whole pack of aberrations in an instant. They quickly sent someone to notify Shai that the person had arrived in Redstone City. Those wolves were a piece of cake to Hao. The unnamed man was impressed with him. Rui promised him that she'll handle the rest. She called the defense soldier. She introduced herself and showed them her badge, then she ordered them to stop the inspections immediately and let the people into the city. They obeyed her. As they drove into the city, they couldn't shake off the feeling that the security check had another reason for it. Rui asked Hao what he thought that was. He replied that it seemed like they were looking for someone. But he didn't dwell on it, since their top priority was to investigate Ashuo's mission file. They reached the Redstone City Defense Headquarters, and went specifically to the archives room where all the patrol team's mission files were. But Hao couldn't find Ashuo's file. Rui searched on the computer. The unnamed man realized that the 7th Squad's A, Shou Li Ming, Wang Qiang, all were gone. Even the basic roster had been redacted. And Rui found out that the local database had been wiped out too. There were no records of Ashuo in it. It could have been a dead end from the start. Hao asked if there were any other options. She called Ying to ask if she could find it. Then she informed them that Ying had a way to access the database files, but she needed time. The unnamed man was surprised that she was that skilled. Hao wasn't, though, because Ying calls herself Miss Know-It-All. Then the unnamed man remembered that Captain Jia was a veteran of the former government army. He trained Ashuo when the patrol team was first formed. He was hopeful that he knew about that mission. They decided to see him, at Captain Jia's house. It was such a mess that they could tell it was a sign of struggle. The marks were fresh, so they assumed that the fight had just ended recently. Hao determined that it was the city defense team. Rui wondered why the city defense team would go after Jun. The unnamed man shared that Hao stood up for the captain before and beat up the city defense captain, Shi, to a pulp, so he deduced that this was revenge. And Hao had this feeling that it was all aimed at him. The inspection was to confirm whether he had entered the city. It got him riled up to face them head-on. A few moments later, some soldiers arrived. They were glad to have finally found Rui. She asked them who they were. One of them was the Redstone City Defense Adjutant, Lee Ben. He received word that she came, then informed her that Jia Jun of the patrol team under his command went missing while on a mission outside the city, so he would like to seek her assistance in the search and rescue. It was their army's business, so she couldn't see why she had to help them. He reasoned that the aberrations had been unusually active, so their regular forces were no match for them. Rui and Hao glanced at each other. They understood each other without saying a word. She agreed to help, but on the condition that Ben was coming with them. Ben argues that it's not a good idea since he would just get in their way. She asked if he's refusing, then she clarified that she's not asking. Instead, she's ordering him. Then she warned him that if he refused, he could have him executed on the spot for insubordination. They got him inside the vehicle. They drove on the outskirts of the city. Then they probed Ben why they would send Jun on a mission when they knew that the aberrations were unusually active lately. Hao suggested that they sent him there to die on purpose. Ben denied it. They reached the area that he told them. Hao could tell something was not right. Rui asked what was wrong. He replied that Ben told them the area was teeming with aberrations, and yet he didn't smell any crimson fog. Meanwhile, Ben was in a rush to get out of there quickly. The unnamed member saw him fiddling on his phone. He asked what he's doing. Ben argues that he had brought them all to the location of the incident, so his job should be done, so he had his squad pick him up. Then he told the unnamed member to tell Rui that he leaves the search and rescue on her hands. And then he walked away. But Rui blocked his path and told him that he's not going anywhere. Hao placed a hand on his shoulder. Then she probed him on what their objective was. Suddenly, lightning and thunder roared. Ben feared for what's coming. It was as if he already knew it. The lightning struck the ground. Ben was deeply terrified. He expressed how he didn't want to die. It was as Hao expected. The low-level aberrations weren't around because of that thing. It was a Dominator-class thunder beast, and this monster roar could even summon lightning around it.
Thank you all for watching. Please watch this next Giga Chad video, and I'll see you guys next time. Also, support the channel by joining the Summon Club membership. You can also support by just liking the video and being awesome.